The incident took place on August 15, 2009. A large women-only wedding tent was set up outside the groom's home. The tent was enclosed on 3 sides, with only one entrance facing the house. It was designed to hold around 250 to 300 guests, and was fully equipped with air conditioning, lighting, and seating, just like any elegant wedding celebration. The groom, Zayed, was getting married for the second time. His first wife, Nusra, was deeply upset by this. Though they had faced many family disagreements, they usually worked things out. But when Nusra learned about the second marriage, she became extremely emotional. She told him, "If you marry again, divorce me." Zayed chose to go forward with the wedding. Nusra, feeling hurt, took her 2 children and stayed at her family's house, hoping he might reconsider. But he didn't. On the night of the wedding, around 8:15 p.m., a fire broke out. Emergency services received a distressing call. The women's wedding tent was in flames, with hundreds of women and children inside. Panic spread quickly. People screamed for help. Emergency crews rushed to the scene, expecting a small fire, but what they found was a large-scale disaster. Inside, guests were crying out, trying to escape. But many were held back by cultural norms. Some were too modest to leave in their formal dresses. In the confusion, others were accidentally knocked over. The fire continued to spread. Rescue teams and even bystanders tried to help, but the scene was heartbreaking. There was smoke everywhere, people calling out, children crying, and many struggling to breathe or find their loved ones. One man sat in shock among the remains. Another wandered, searching for his sister or wife. Some tried to identify family members. Children stood outside, confused and scared, not knowing if their mothers had made it out. The trauma was overwhelming. Eventually, responders began to remove the victims. Some were found underneath others. The scene looked more like the aftermath of a major attack than just a fire. The once white tent had turned completely black. Structural beams had collapsed. First responders were overwhelmed. Some men fainted from the emotional shock of seeing their loved ones affected. The person who had reached out to me by email shared that his mother and 3 sisters attended that wedding. 2 of them, aged 23 and 8, entered the tent with their mother. The third, 18 years old, stayed inside the house with a cousin. When the fire started, she ran out and saw her mother and sister run back inside to find the youngest one. Tragically, the tent collapsed while they were still inside. The sister, who was 23, had brought her toddler, but left her newborn at home. She handed her son to a nearby woman before going back into the tent with her mother to find her little sister. The 18-year-old tried to follow, but people held her back as the structure fell. No one knew if her mother and sisters had survived. Later, they were told that the 8-year-old had passed away. The father was devastated. When they located the 23-year-old, she was badly injured, unconscious, and unrecognizable. Only her clothing identified her. The toddler kept asking for his mother. Weeks later, he was taken to Riyadh to see her. She was still unconscious, but when he held her hand, she responded slightly and whispered his name, Nasser. A few hours later, her condition worsened, and she peacefully passed away. Eventually, the mother was found as well. Her condition was extremely serious, and only close family members were allowed to see her. She was transferred to Riyadh for treatment, but after a month of fighting, she also passed. In total, the family lost 3 beloved members, a mother and 2 daughters. The man also lost his cousin and her daughter, who had been embracing each other when they were found. They were buried together. Investigators initially didn't know what started the fire, but nearby they found 2 bottles with traces of flammable liquid. Witnesses reported seeing a woman near the tent with a bottle and a lighter. A taxi driver came forward and said he had driven Nusra to a gas station, where she filled 2 containers, then dropped her off near the wedding location. When questioned, Nusra became emotional and admitted what happened. She said she only wanted to disrupt the celebration, not hurt anyone. She hadn't expected it to escalate, but her actions ultimately led to the loss of 66 lives, mostly women and children. The court sentenced her to capital punishment. On January 25, 2017, Nusra's sentence was carried out. Witnesses said she was overcome with emotion and kept saying, "Forgive me, I didn't mean to." She was the second of 7 individuals who were executed that day.